Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Thoughts from the Crawlspace. We appreciate you tuning in today. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Tammie Jones is the owner and basically operator of Open Door Rentals and Real Estate, two locations in Fort Wayne and Auburn. And Tammie has quite a detailed entrepreneur spirit and extensive experience in real estate. So we brought her on today because we want to be an inspiration to those of you out there that are thinking of starting a business or maybe have tried. Maybe you're going through some times right now that aren't the best. And she's hit rock bottom. She's bounced back up. She's been more successful than ever. Um, we can learn a lot from her regarding leadership, regarding how you grow yourself, and so forth. So, Tammie, thanks for coming on today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Let's see. You bought your first house at 19.
Yes.
That's not too many people can talk about that. Talk about maybe a little, if you can remember back that far. My history, I can't remember much 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And this was, when did you buy that and what led you to buy your first house at that age?
Well, became a young mother at the age of 18. And so I was raised with a very structured family. My parents met when they were 13 years old. And my father just recently passed and at age 77. So structure was everything. So as soon as I got to know that I was going to be a mother, homestead was number one. So at age 19 and 15% interest rate, I called my local realtor, which was my softball coach throughout high school, and said, "Hey, I want to buy a house." He walks us through it and writes the contract. We move in. And I said, "Man, that was easy." He's like, "Well, I could teach you how to do it." And so Scott, the late Scott Wool, took me under his wing and I got licensed and I started working with him. And he mentored me, taught me real estate, property management, business structure, and it just ran from there.
I remember the first mentor I had taught me home inspections, came to my house before you had to be licensed, but he didn't teach me marketing. He didn't teach me business growth. And I was dead in the water. So I had the
Mhm.
technical knowledge and nothing else. I like what you said about that. He taught you everything, didn't he?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that led you to be into real estate. You had Castle One Realty for
Yep.
several years, and
Yes, for
so
15.
you ran that for 15 years. So after that, you decided what?
Okay, so that's kind of when I hit rock bottom, and I love to share with other entrepreneurs and people my story about rock bottom. Like, I had broken my back, a single mom, broken my back, and we had 4 feet of snow. So, as a business partner of Castle One Realty, I ran the property management division and then sold real estate on the side. That was my part of the entity. And so when I broke my back, I was out. I was out. At that time, the business partners said, "Well, we can't do what Tammie does." And they sold that entity while I was healing. Um, so my structure and my security of that finance section hit me on top of the emotional side of things. I have identified young in life that I am a servant of the Lord and I get gratification and I grow by people needing me. I am a servant of their needs. And so property management has just always called me, and being a real estate agent has called me because you provide something for them. You help them, you're a troubleshoot. You help them through their transition in life. So at that time, when they sold that entity, my purpose, you ask as a business owner, why do you want to start this business? What's your why? And that was my why. Like I wanted to help people. So I felt very lost and afraid and didn't know what to do with myself. I went and got a job, third shift, stocking shelves. I thought I could get a job in a factory. And I realized real quick that I had no other skill than to help people. Um, and so in 2017, my business partner, Lori Depew, and I, we started Open Door Rentals and Real Estate at that time. And rebranded ourselves and said, how do we want to be different than we've done in the past? And how do we want to help people?
Wow. That's, I love what you said about you get your meaning from helping people. I know we had talked previously that you at one time had designs of being a teacher,
Yeah.
elementary teacher, and we have that in common. I started out in
Yeah.
elementary education. I survived that gauntlet for 6 years, and we talked before about how a lot of teachers have that entrepreneur spirit in them. They, especially for you, you wanted to help people. A lot of people, that's why they go into teaching. That's why they
I
want to be
know.
a nurse. They want to help people. You don't necessarily think about that along the real estate or property management lines. A lot of people, I think of real estate agents as just being in it for the money, and you're not that way. You really didn't find any meaning that other than being able to help people in that manner. So how did that property management come about?
Well, it's, you know, from the day one, Scott, Wool had rental properties. So I learned then. And throughout my years of education and learning how to grow myself, you will hear people say you need to hang out with the 5 people you want to be most like, right? So if you want to be a millionaire, you find 5 people that are millionaires and you go hang out with them. If you want to lose weight, you go to the gym, right? And you hang out with those people. So I wanted to do property management because I loved helping people in their transition. I've been divorced, I've been single, I've been homeless, I've been kicked and knocked down and broken a back and, you know, filed bankruptcy, did it. Okay. So I've been in every transition, I feel like just out of school, every transition in life. So my calling, I felt, was to help people find housing in their transition in life. Um, so when we opened Open Door Rentals and Real Estate, it was more about helping people transition from whatever they need in their short term housing needs, which was the purpose. But then I built the team to help me do that. And I realized that the owners of these properties, the investors, I have 186 investors I work for. Now I'm getting gratification off of helping them build their portfolio because, who doesn't want to be a millionaire? Who doesn't want to own a bunch of real estate, right? So I'm hanging out with these people and I'm building their portfolios also. So it's just really exciting that I get to be a little piece in someone's success story. You know, they come to me and a resident comes in and says, I just graduated college. I don't have a credit score. I just started my job. I don't want to move back home. Okay, cool. We'll help you, and then in a year from then, we built the relationship with them and it's ready for them to go buy a house. Who are they going to call? It's me. And I love watching this. And I've been in the business now for 30 years. So I've helped parents buy, the children buy, the grandparents sell, the parents sell, the transition throughout the cycles of life in one family. And I'm so blessed.
Oh my, that's a great story. I love that. I think a lot of people have this fallacy that if I want to do something where I'm helping people, I can't make any money. I got to go work for a nonprofit or something. But I don't think anything could be further from the truth. Look at what you've done. You have taken your experience, you've taken your lumps, you've developed yourself, you've hung around the right people, you've become a leader. Really, I don't know others or people in your field that can say that you get somebody right out of high school or right out of college that needs a rental, and then they transition, they save money or whatever, and they can build a house or buy a house. And same with parents. And then, I mean, in 30 years, yeah, you've got that generational thing going, and they know who to
Yeah.
call. So, and at the same time, you're helping people, investors, build their lives. So that gratification is just amazing. I know one of the things that you've advocated for is is reading and some books and things like that. So talk about some of the books you've read that have had the biggest impact on your career or your life.
Okay, so when a new person, when here's a okay, so my favorite book right now is Rich Dad Poor Dad. Richard Kiyosaki writes this, and it's a book that I encourage every person out there to give a high school student when they're graduating, a college student when they're graduating, or anyone as soon as they mention that they are interested in buying real estate or investing, they need to read this book. This guy, he talks about his rich dad and his poor dad. Now, his poor dad worked in the foundry, made a great living, had a great 401k, set his mom up, for this future. He did all the things right. He was a great dad, but he worked really hard every day in the foundry, right? He wasn't there for football games. He wasn't there, you know, to do the things because he was working. And he did that blue collar sweat, which I admire. And then his mom gets divorced, gets remarried to rich dad, which was a real estate tycoon. And he learned how to invest his money here and what to do with this money from this real estate entrepreneur. So what this guy does is he takes what he learns from both parties, he merges it and he writes it. And it's such an inspiration, whether you want to invest in just one house, your own future, your 401k, this guy's plan, you got to read it. So give that book out. That helped a lot of me teach people how to invest, right? Then I would say the next book would be the EOS books. There's quite a few of them, but the one that hit me the most, the smack in the face or whatever you want to say that
Mhm.
grabs you is rocket fuel. And there's two things that is said in that book that that really resonates to any entrepreneur. And I hope I'm speaking to an entrepreneur out there that's struggling and doesn't know how to level up. Um, One thing is that you've got to find a yin to your yang. Okay. So at Open Door Rentals and Real Estate, Lori is my business partner. Lori, you. We are exact opposite people. I am the visionary. Oh, we can do this. Let's build this. Let's do this. Oh, this looks pretty. Squirrel, diamonds, all the crazy things. And then she's over there. She's just the opposite. She'll say, slow down. I'm an integrator. Now, how I'm going to take your dream and put it on paper and make it work. Right. So you can't give your shirt away. You need that shirt on your back, but we can copy it. Right. What are the systems and the processes to make you get that done without failing? And it's truly has leveled us up. Another area in that book that smacked me in the face was I have an amazing staff. And I've had over the years, you've had inspectors come through and you're like, I really like this person. There's the right people, wrong. Have you heard that analogy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You're on the wrong seat of the bus.
Yes. You're on the right bus, you're just in the wrong seat. And so to hear that and to read that and put it into perspective sometimes is just going to help you scale to the next level. I have amazing people. That's why we're successful, right? It's not because of me. It's because of the people and the processes that are supporting us in our good Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to your how many you have pretty soon, all the different businesses you have. But one thing that with those books do, I'm like you. I'm the visionary. I have all these ideas that pop in my head. I'm inspecting a home, and I'll have 5 ideas pop in my head. You know what? We could do that. We could. But I'm not the integrator. And so my leadership team has to reel me in sometimes. Yep, exactly. It's like, wait a minute, let's not lose sight of, our bread and butter first. And do we
Yeah.
have the people in place to be able to expand like you want to, or add that piece that you want to? And so these books really, leadership is such a complicated thing. if you're leading but nobody's following, you're not really leading. And so what do you have? How can you speak into the lives of those that are around you to have them follow you? You have the you have the background. You've been through about everything someone can be through as far as the ups and downs of life and business. And so people are going to listen to you. So you have the experience, you have the passion, you have the love, you have the servant attitude. You have so many things that you need to be a leader. And so you've done that so well. Besides, talk a little bit about the other companies that you have. Well, talk about all the ones that you have. They're incorporated besides the rental and real estate.
Okay, so at Open Door Rentals, we have three separate entities. We have the real estate division that can help you buy and sell. We traditionally work with investors, but always welcome residential, commercial purchases and sales. Then we have the rentals or the property management division that can help you manage your properties. And then we have a company called Open Door Renovations. So when your investor buys a house that might need a bathroom remodel or it needs all new paint, all new carpet, we have a team and a company that, supports that. We also have, um, I own Open Container, which is a dumpster company. So when the investor buys that house and we're doing that demo and we want to turn these quickly and make that most lucrative, and I got a dumpster for you. Small
Nice.
dumpster,
Yeah.
not the big ones, but the small ones that can help you do a quick turn like that.
Hmm.
And then I personally own my own investment portfolio. So that keeps me, and I'm a mother of five and uh, grandmother of two, and it's just constantly growing that.
Yeah. Well, you've lived life to the fullest. Is what it sounds like to me. I like the name of your your dumpster company, Open Container. That's open container. You'll break a law in some areas, but it fits right in with your the name of your other company. And so
Correct.
I love that. You talked about you work with several investors. What do they come to you for at this point? What do they need from you most that you provide them?
So they need boots on the ground, right? A lot of investors will say, I can run my own financials or I do my own maintenance, but I need somebody in the day to day and doing the things in the day to day. So we have a level of services that do trust accounting. So the ins and outs of the money. We work with the residents to make sure they're taking care of the property. We do quarterly site visits, not a home inspection. Nope, nope. But we'll do a quarterly site visit to make sure they're taking care of it and that the gutters are clean, the furnace filter is changed, there's no leaks under the sink. The general maintenance that most investors, when they hire a management company, they don't do these things but once a year. Well,
Mhm.
as you know, um, you don't change that furnace filter, you're gonna have problems in a year. So we do have that program for them. We also do a lot of marketing to our investors and try to keep. We know of a property that's for sale. Oh, this is a steal. We're gonna put it out there to them. Um, Here's the rent rolls. We've already analyzed it. We do all the analyzation before we even present it. So when an investor gets an email from me, if they're on my mailing list, they know, hey, I need to look at this or it doesn't make sense to me. Because each investor has a different need. Some want cash flow now, some are looking for appreciation. They have a certain CapEx number. So I love to work with each person and learn what they're doing and their why, right? Their why and what they are looking for in an investment. So that's kind of what we do.
Wow, that's pretty extensive. I didn't. That's one reason I wanted to bring you on today is to be able to explain that. If you're an investor out there and you need somebody in that role, I think a lot of people have visions of themselves being investors, but there's a lot of it's not as simple as you see on HGTV. You're
No,
not you're going to buy a property at a steal and renovate it and live life happily ever after. And the finances of it are very important. but just finding the places. Who's got the time to just search through the internet all day? But you got those connections and you got people set up to do that kind of thing. So besides investors, let's say somebody's maybe they just graduated college, or maybe they're moving out of their home. When they call you for a rental, what
Mhm.
options do you have for them? Are you in several cities? Are you
Okay.
primarily in Auburn and Fort Wayne? Can you go anywhere? What do you got?
So, as a real estate agent, if they're purchasing, we are licensed throughout the whole state. So we will travel. In the management division, we like to stay where we can lay hands and eyes on properties. So we have an office in Auburn, we have an office in Fort Wayne, but we mainly stay to Noble, DeKalb, and Allen County. Now we have a few up in Steuben, we have a few in LaGrange, so but that's kind of where our core is. And I'd like to not say that I'm an expert, but say that I'm well versed because 30 years in those markets, I've been in a lot of houses, as you've been in a lot of crawl spaces, right?
Yeah, those are the best. That's how we got our name for this podcast, Thoughts from the Crawl Space. There's lots of thoughts that go through your head when you're in a situation like that, frankly, most people don't want to be in.
Yeah.
And I think you're in a niche of real estate that a lot of people don't want to be in. They don't want to, they wouldn't know where to start at this point. But dealing with some of the things that you deal with rentals, and they just don't want anything to do with that. So I admire you for that greatly. What are some of with everything that you run, what are some of the challenges you deal with on a daily basis or weekly basis?
Time management. Um, as any entrepreneur would understand, clocking out and taking me time is very hard.
You can do
Uh,
that?
right. Well, I have this thing. If there is wind in my hair, I'm off the clock. So I love to ride a motorcycle, get on a boat, anywhere, drive the Jeep with the top off. I can't answer the phone that way. So that's where I get my peace. But it truly is like stopping, hardcore stopping and learning when it's okay not to answer that phone call. It will
Yeah,
wait till tomorrow. And it's taken 30 years to implement those things and feel comfortable enough to say, we can do this. We have an emergency on call line 24 hours a day. Somebody can call in an emergency and otherwise, I can have dinner at the table with my family.
absolutely. I think what you said just resonates so much with us. You build companies working a lot of times 14, 16 hours a day, and that becomes your identity. That becomes
Mhm.
the way of life. And when you don't adhere to that way of life, something feels like it's missing. You can't even imagine an 8-hour job, a 9 to 5 job. You get home at 4 in the afternoon and you just feel like I have to do something. I can't not do something. You
Yeah.
feel guilty if inspectors are out there working, and it's even in good conditions, but especially if it's hot or really cold, you just feel guilty because I'm not out there in the field with them. I'm not fighting this fight at the same level they are, and so that is something you really got to talk yourself into and just come to
Yeah.
the realization of nope, we've built it this way so that I can work on this business and I don't have to do everything. So you have, I don't think you mentioned previously, how many total employees do you have that you work with?
Sure. The real estate company, I only have five real estate agents that work for me. That's okay. The property management division, we have 23 full time employees and two part time employees that help us with that process. And then in the renovation company, we have 8 employees. The dumpster company, I have 2 employees.
Okay. So you have
So,
a,
yeah.
that's a lot of, I think the other thing we talked a little bit about leadership earlier is there is always something to do in the entrepreneur role. If there's nothing to do, you're probably burned out and ought to do something else. Because if you've ignored your response, even if you don't physically have any physical activities that you need to be at that day, there's always something you can be doing to um, uh, help with the personal growth of your team.
Mhm.
And it's exciting, but it also can be hard sometimes because you want to just turn that switch off. Occasionally, you just want to be normal, you know? And, I wonder what it'd be like to just come home at 5 o'clock and have nothing to do.
Okay,
So,
we're in that just go stock shelves at Walmart third shift for a little bit, and you'll say, "Forget it. I don't
yeah,
wanna be normal."
yeah. Well, I
There's
think
a
really,
couple of people, and if you have this calling like you and I do, Jimmy, you have this calling, this is what you're meant to be, and embrace it and just run with it. I know many people are, like, on the fence, working a full-time job, did it. I worked a full-time job and I did this, because that's what I had to do. But
yep.
if I would've had that mentor or that person to say, "I'm pushing you off the fence. You're doing it," I would have done it. You either have it or you don't.
No, I agree with you 100%. 20 years ago, I would have never dreamed I was doing this, especially at the level that we're at. I had a dream uh, of how I got into home inspecting. I won't go into that story, but I had a dream to be one. But I never had even the concept of where we would be now with, a multi-inspection firm over 3 states. And it just boggles my mind with where, God has brought us, and the blessings we've had of the people we've been involved with. So many friends that we have in the real estate industry. The your team members they become your friends. Literally, you don't have time for anything else. So those those are your friends, and
Friend,
it's just been
family.
amazing.
Friends of your family.
Yeah,
My employees are my family. They're not employees, that's my family. Just like you said about the girls when I walked in. Those those girls are your family. They're not just employees.
yeah. You see them every day. You see them many times more than you even see your family, and so
Amen.
so they become that way. So, as you think forward, I'm sure as an entrepreneur, especially as the visionary, you have plans in your mind of what you'd like to do. You don't have to reveal those today, but what's kind of the foundation that you run all of this on? Like, what you have a core value or two or 10. What's some of those core values that you refer to each day?
Honesty, transparency, integrity, and innovation. So be true
I,
to yourself, right? Be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Clearly transparent. But if you're not innovative and you're not growing, you're going to get stagnant. So always grow. And if there's a pain point, if there's a problem, people have team meetings. We have problem meetings. Okay, what's the problem? What did we learn from this? How do we not make that repeat itself? Right? You grow from pain. And I grew from pain.
Absolutely. I love that. We have a theme around here is let's turn every negative into a positive. We work with the public, we work with real estate, there's a lot of emotion involved. Things pop up sometimes that aren't pleasant. You get a complaint, somebody's unhappy, and you can feel sorry for yourself, or you can try to face it and turn that into a positive. Maybe it's something we did do wrong. Let's not ever do it again. And so
Exactly.
that's really that's what you got to do in any business to successfully grow, and certainly you've done that. Let's transition just a little bit to actual real estate right now. You mentioned back when you bought your first home, interest rates were 15%. Right now,
Crazy.
if you threw out 15%, people would like literally quit buying anything. So they're struggling to buy at 6% because they're used to 2.5 or 3. So talk a little bit about, you see all sides of it. You see the rental, you see the real estate, you see the investment. Talk about some of the changes you've seen maybe in the last few months where you think we're trending toward the last part of this year. We're in an election cycle. That always seems to have an effect on it. It certainly affects people's mentality, and they may want to bunker down and or hide in their bunker and wait and see where the dust settles. But what's trending out there right now? What do you see happening?
Well, my opinion or my outlook on this is that because I've been in the business so long, uh, I know that it cycles, right? So if you find a property that you like, get off the fence, just like I was saying earlier, get off the fence, purchase it. Because if it will appreciate, do your homework, make sure you got a good agent that can tell you that is going to appreciate. The value is increasing in that area, in that market. Northeast Indiana, there was an article on biggerpockets.com that Fort Wayne, Indiana is the number 5 area to invest in the United States. We are the growth of the United States. Number 5. So don't be afraid to buy right now. Interest rates are okay, they're higher, but the appreciation value that is coming will surpass that interest rate. So don't ever be afraid to buy, because if you look back at the last house you questioned, should I have bought that house? Man, I really wanted to buy that house. Guess what? I bet you answer that with, I should have bought that house. So,
Yeah.
and I just encourage, do your homework, have a good agent that can tell you what it'll appreciate for, and you can always refinance, but do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I love that because, you know, there if you live your life based on interest rates, that's a temporary thing. They go up and down. But houses renovated, it's like planting a tree. I should have planted that tree 20 years ago, but the next best time is today.
Correct.
And same with the house. If you're financially ready, it's time to buy. If you're waiting the market to drop or waiting for interest rates to come down, you're missing the boat. I can concur with your Fort Wayne statement about being one of the top markets in the nation. Is the amount of out of state buyers that we see from the West Coast, uh, Canada, really from anywhere. They're matriculating to this area, so that's going to raise property values. So buy it now, and
Okay.
I concur definitely with that. So as we kind of bring this, put a bow on this conversation, what would be your advice to some of those people out there that are considering starting their own business? Doesn't even have to be real estate, it can be anything. I remember when I worked in a factory, when I built this business, I worked in a factory making RVs. I did it for 5 years as I built this company. And so you're starting at 5 in the morning, working till 1, doing this in the afternoon. And every single day I was like, I cannot wait till I'm out of this factory. And I knew so many people in that situation that would have loved to do something else but didn't have the courage or whatever to get started. So what would your be advice to that? How do you get started, and how do you get out of your own way sometimes?
Educate yourself. So read, join your Facebook groups, your podcasts, listen, read, always educate. Never stop educating yourself, and find a mentor. I have a mentorship program. Right now, I have 3 high school students that are mentoring with me through the high school ICE program. If somebody wants to follow me, I'm sure you would be the same. You want to get into this? You want to follow me? Come on, job shadow me for a day. Do it with multiple people, multiple company. Don't be afraid. The entrepreneur want other entrepreneurs to succeed. So just educate yourself and find a good mentor. That's my advice.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think one of the biggest things that's helped us over the years is we got involved with a mastermind group of similar businesses, and it's nationwide. So you're going to get unlimited advice and help because they're not your direct competitor. They're not local. You're not fighting them for business. And that just has led to incredible relationships,
Yeah.
incredible support. I couldn't have done it without that. I really couldn't. You can't do this alone. Not to be you have your reach your potential, in my opinion. And then some of the national people out there that teach on leadership, on business building, we found great success with Ramsey Solutions in some of their teaching. They're just an incredible, well-run organization that's grown from the card table to 1,200 team members, and so but something like that.
Mhm.
That would do that. Well, Tammie, I'm so thrilled that you've come on today. You bet I've been inspired just listening to you and all that you've done. And you've started, you've fallen, and you got back up. And those are the best life lessons. Those teach you things you can't learn any way else. And so we appreciate you. We thank you for fighting the good fight, for maximizing your potential in life, for having the impact on others out there. And you're just a tremendous resource. So if anybody has a real estate need, a rental need, entrepreneur advice, how to handle employees, uh, anything, give Tammie a call. She'd be glad to help you, guide you in the right direction. And we just so appreciate your time today. And thanks everybody for watching, listening. If you like this, if you got something good out of it, please share, like and share this across all the platforms. Share it with all your friends, even your enemies. We don't care. We'll take them. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.